Ormond Hightower is playing a deeply dangerous game, and Daeron Targaryen is his newest pawn. House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 4 isn't just about looming battle of Tumbleton. It's about massive betrayals brewing in the shadows. Between Daemon covering for Rhaena and Sheepstealer, Aegon desperately clinging to a Commestus Sunfire, and the introduction of a highly anticipated book character. This episode was completely packed. Let's break down all the Easter eggs. The episode title is Tumbleton, a reference to the town where we get all of our Daeron scenes and learn about Ormond Hightower's new plot. His plan B, so to speak, because he thought he was going to get Aemond and Vhagar, but Aemond is nowhere to be found. In reality, he's probably just stashed in one of the rooms at Harrenhal with the weirwood beds, having all kinds of crazy visions the way Daemon did during Season 2. The opening tapestry sequence added a new scene, what looks like Rhaenyra meeting Cloryn Manderly after her rat banquet. You see the rat right after that, and it's a reference to the run tearing apart. Because we see chaos erupting everywhere across this episode, chaos in King's Landing, chaos in Tumbleton, the Greens having problems, the Blacks having problems. Both sides are crumbling. The opening scene starts with a rabbit across the river from Tumbleton, showing us the Greens' occupation of the city. They are forcing the locals to help strengthen the defenses, dividing the 15,000 of their troops into everyone's home. And this is where you start to see how clever Ormond Hightower actually is. He's housing his soldiers with the civilians, especially to prevent Rhaenyra from just burning them all. Because if she does, she's killing the people who bend the knee to her, making her look like a Maegor with the tits. And they do make a reference to Maegor returned in this episode, which is their way of nodding to that book phrase. They also set up the subplot with one of the Green soldiers moving into the house of Hugh Hammer's wife, living with her brother, and one of them seems super rapey, which is very clearly setting up events later in the season. Hugh Hammer himself and Vermithor will be watching over Tumbleton, along with Ulf the White and Silverwing. So both dragon seeds are in and around Tumbleton for the next couple of episodes, and they are basically a bomb that's going to go off in a really bad way later this season. You start to see the seeds of that across the whole episode. Ormond Hightower has taken Lord Footley's home. He's the person who rules over Tumbleton, and Ormond is taking a bath. This is another callback to his extreme obsession with cleanliness. He ordered the messenger to be given a bath earlier, and he uses that smelling perfume device to avoid having to smell the stench. Alicent later explains this. She says he is very sensitive to smells, so that's why he was burning incense in the previous episode. And why he is still burning it here during his meeting with Daeron later? My assumption is they'll pay this off in some hilarious way in a future episode. Lord Footley and his wife complain to him about the current state of affairs, naked in his tub, while Daeron waits on him like a squire. Because Ormond took Daeron as a ward when he was a baby, he's basically been a second father to Daeron his entire life. And they are very careful to note that Ormond calls out Footley's former loyalty to Rhaenyra, who he calls the pretender to the Iron Throne. This is setting up the idea that he wants to put Daeron on the Iron Throne. Everything Ormond does in this episode is a teachable moment for Daeron. Little lesson about what things will be like when he is a king. Remember to be fair but strict. Lord Footley also mentioned the town isn't very defensible, so they are cutting down trees, building defenses and spreading troops into civilian homes so Rhaenyra can't easily burn them all. Jon Roxton enters, addressing Daeron as Prince, just to confirm his identity for anyone who didn't clock it earlier. The real Daeron has his natural hair color. He wasn't dyeing it or anything. That's just how it is. And part of the reason Daemon was fooled by the white-haired fake Daeron, because Daemon had never actually seen Daeron after he grew up. He last saw him as a baby. Then there's this great moment where Ormond gets really pissed at Borros Baratheon. Borros doesn't want to send help to the Greens. No men, no supplies, even though he sealed a marriage pact between one of his daughters and Aemond. He should be supporting the Greens. But it's a callback to how much of a pain Borros was to Rhaenyra and the Blacks. The Baratheons basically hate all Targaryens equally, both sides. Borros is trying to do the clever thing, where he supports whoever he thinks is going to win. So when a winner does emerge, the Baratheons won't be punished the way the other houses who back their loser will be. While this is happening, Rhaenyra has her small council meeting. As small as it is, they actually made jokes about it. How small her council is because she hasn't appointed all the roles yet. They note that her forces, the army of Rivermen and Winterwolves, the Starks are coming closer. But they have spent word to march to Tumbleton instead of King's Landing, which is directly setting up the Battle of Tumbleton later this season. I think that's likely going to be episode 7. She names Orville to the small council as her grain maester and bans the use of those balls they used to mark who was speaking. This is also to show why future small council meeting in the main Game of Thrones series didn't use them. You also notice Rhaenyra pours her own cup here. She doesn't have a cup bearer currently, but it's meant to be a callback to her being her father's cup bearer in season 1. Rhaenyra and Alicent have several scenes together in this episode, broken across the runtime. She starts by asking Alicent for help with Ormond Hightower, someone Rhaenyra had never met because she had never been to Old Town. Alicent reminds us that it was Viserys who wanted Daeron to war with Ormond years ago. This meeting happens in the God's Wood. Helena is there with Jaehaera. It's one of the few places Rhaenyra lets them go inside the Red Keep. If it wasn't clear, Ormond is Alicent's cousin. He is the son of Hobart Hightower, Otto Hightower's older brother, who was the Lord of House Hightower. When Hobart died, it passed to Ormond, so Ormond is the current Lord of House Hightower in Old Town. Alicent says she never really got to know him very well, because Otto brought her to the court when she was very young, where she met the very young Rhaenyra and they became friends. But from what she saw of him, he was studious, shrewd, and also very cruel. Then Alicent explains why she sent Daeron away in the first place. She felt like she wasn't a great mother. She wanted Daeron raised in the right way, as a Hightower, because all her other sons that she raised as a traditional Targaryen around the Iron Throne turned out in a terrible different ways. She says perhaps sending Daeron away was my truest act of motherhood. But here's the tragic irony. By the end of the episode, Orwell makes it very clear that he raised Daeron to be just as terrible, just in a slightly different direction. It's a massive betrayal of what Alicent wanted. Corlys then complains about Rhaenyra to Alan of Hull. As he prepares to leave the castle, he needs to secure his own house after the battle, get rid of the remaining Triarchy raiders, and reopen the trade lines. House Velaryon needs to start earning money again, and they need to bring more supplies into the city to deal with hunger problems, which is a very big problem they talk about later. Corlys is rightfully angry. Rhaenyra should have legitimized his children, but he is also performing an important function. The other reason he is doing this is that he wants to leave Alan behind, hoping Rhaenyra will warm up to him and legitimize him on her own. A little foreshadowing, they want to make it seem like Rhaenyra likes Alan because he gives her a couple of cool ideas later. Then we get a really big moment. Aegon and Larys Strong arriving at the area around Rook's Rest. Aegon is way faster on foot now, since his addiction to the milk of the poppy has worn off. They arrive at Sunfire's body, and Aegon keeps saying it. I know it, Sunfire is alive. He says it several times. This is the happiest, most optimistic, most hopeful he has been since he fell in battle and was burned. So if it wasn't clear, they are telling us Sunfire is still alive, just in a very deep dragon coma, recuperating. We find out local men have been making people pay to touch the dragon. Larys tries to pretend he is a Septon to save their lives and hide their identities. Aegon tries to speaking High Valyrian to Sunfire, but there's no response. Sunfire is just deep in that coma. Give it a couple more weeks, a couple more episodes. Back at Harrenhal, Criston Cole and Gwen Hightower arrive, passing by all the people Aemond burned with Vhagar. But no sign of Vhagar anywhere. As they sneak through the castle, they hear crumbling all around them. The castle is in a constant state of decay. Even during the main series, it's so big it's constantly falling apart, and it's a curse on anyone who tries to hold it. Then they hear the goat before they hear Ali's river, which is exactly what happened to Daemon when he first arrived. The goat is a reference to her magic. There are even theories she might be the goat, like she's just changing into it. Alice is wearing a much finer dress and pendant this time. They don't explain the context. We'll have to wait for next week. She tells them everyone in castle been killed by Aemond and calls herself something of steward, which is what she talked to Daemon about. She wanted the castle for herself. She tells them Aemond is no longer here, which is a lie. He's probably just having weirwood visions in some other room, and she's keeping him stashed there. Vhagar is probably just passed out, sleeping in the woods somewhere. Old Granny just needs a good long nap. But at this point, they believe Aemond has deserted them. Gwen wants to join Ormond's forces at Tumbleton, which is the logical move. Kristen Cole wants to stay. He doesn't want to abandon their original quest, and his big speech explains he has nothing to go back to. He can't go back to Rhaenyra. She'll hate him, he hates her. And I love the way Gwen's look turns on him when Kristen starts getting drunk on himself. He wants to take their tiny force, very few men, and go after Rivermen. Even though the Rivermen and Winter Wolves have 20 times the number of men, Gwen is basically like, this dude has gone completely crazy. We then get a really cool scene of Rhaenyra going to the storage in the lower level of the Red Keep with Alan of Hull. She's looking at her father's thing that Alicent had moved down there when Aegon moved into the king's chamber. All the tapestries of dragons getting it on each other, which Viserys really loved and Alicent really hated. It was basically the Westeros version of Nudie magazine. But the big thing down here is Viserys' Lego set of the Valyrian freehold that Aegon smashed up. Rhaenyra says, it's like the broken model is like the broken realm itself. She explains the doom of Valyria to Alan, why her father wanted to build this in the first place. And it's also a reference to the fall of Targaryen dynasty happening right now. All great dynasties fall, the Targaryens will eventually fall too. Alan also turns into Rhaenyra Whisperer in this episode. He gives her the idea about getting rid of the rats in the Red Keep using cats. They see rats climbing around the Valyrian model, and he says they used the cats on the ship he was on. So now they are sending a ton of cats around the Red Keep. This is a very good moment of Alan. They want to build that rapport between him and Rhaenyra. She really likes him now, which is exactly what Corlys wanted. Back at Rook's Rest, Aegon is holding one of Sunfire's scale, just a little bit hopeful. Larys explained the situation. Anonymity is their friend. It's total anarchy even though Kristen Cole left the garrison. These men are loyal to no one but themselves. They pass by the body of Meleys still lying down the castle. It hasn't been that long since the battle. They pretend to be small folk working in the area, and Aegon is forced to clean the latrines. His mouth get him in trouble later too. At Tumbleton, Hugh Hammer's wife is running a fool of the Green Soldier again. Meanwhile, Hugh Hammer himself has been asked by Rhaenyra to watch Tumbleton on Vermithor. So keep in mind, all these things are happening with his wife in the city while he is about to station around it. She clocks that his wife being in town could be a conflict if things go sideways. But Rhaenyra allows him to take turns watching with Ulf White on Silverwing, so both dragon seeds will be around Tumbleton for the next couple of episodes. And Ormond Hightower is clever enough to mess with their heads. Ulf White then goes back to the old tavern he used to frequent before he became a dragon seed and notices graffiti on the wall that says Queen of Bastards. Notice the three colors being referenced are the dragon seeds who are bastards. The graffiti is actually making fun of Ulf himself and Rhaenyra's strong boys. When Ulf sees it, he takes it as a huge affront. He has this massive inferiority complex. He wanted to be legitimized, use the Targaryen name, and Rhaenyra wouldn't let him. So this reminds him of his low station. He's been thinking he shouldn't have to put up this slander because he has a dragon, and that gives him power. Hugh Hammer's wife and brother go to Ormond to get satisfaction for the assault against her. And Ormond, he just the Green Soldier, breaks his arm, and later we find out he kills her brother too. He's just as vicious as he is helpful. But notice, he's owning the goodwill of Hugh Hammer's wife. He also uses this as another teachable moment for Daeron. Remember these lessons if you become king someday, which we are definitely going to try real soon. Orwell explained House Hightower to Rhaenyra, why the Hightowers are so intertwined with the faith of the Seven. Old Town used to be the capital of the realm before Aegon's conquest. The High Septon had his seat there. The Hightowers grew up alongside the faith of thousands of years. They have been linked for thousands of years. This is why Ormond believes the Hightowers are so much better than everyone else. So much more saintly, so much more deserving to rule. Then we go to Arya, Daemon and Lady Jane, who absolutely cannot stand him. She sits way higher on her throne. She reminds him about the death of his former wife from the Vale, who he killed with a divorce rock. Her throne is made from a weirwood tree, exactly like the one Lysa Arryn sits on during the original Game of Thrones. He tells her, just give us the god and hell. She's happy to do it, but then there's this great comedic moment Daemon hauling giant heavy bags of gold onto Caraxes' back, and Caraxes starts crashing out, going crazy in a way we have never seen. Not listening to Daemon's command, it's because Caraxes senses sheep stealer nearby. Another example of dragons not obeying their riders, which happened to Rhaena during the Battle of the Gullet, which is one of the reasons Jace wound up dying. And then the reveal. Daemon learns the truth about Rhaena and Sheep Stealer, his daughter, the one he hasn't been around for the last couple of seasons. He's been terrible father for a hot minute, and they really have it out here. Damon's mind is spinning, trying to fix the situation. We can take you to Rhaenyra, beg for her forgiveness, explain it was a mistake. But Rhaenyra's not hearing. She doesn't want to leave Sheep Stealer because of their bond. She finally feels like she belongs. She didn't feel like a part of the family before because she didn't have a dragon, and being a Targaryen means having a dragon. If you are a Targaryen without one, you are kind of nobody. She makes him promise to lie to Rhaenyra. Just tell her whatever you want, but I am not leaving Sheep Stealer. Ormond Hightower then gets Gwaines later explaining what's happened with Aemond and Vhagar. And I love the way he waits a beat before completely crashing out, chopping away at the table with his sword. He's mostly mad they won't have Vhagar to help against Rhaenyra and the Black Dragons. Now they need a plan B. And that's where Hugh Hammer's wife and the Dragon Seeds come in. When they learn that Ormond never returned any of Otto Hightower's letter over the years since Daeron was sent to war with him, and he was ruling Old Town as a kingdom unto itself. The reason he didn't want what he calls the Targaryen stink on Daeron. He was conditioning Daeron all these years, raising him to be the kind of leader he could control. Meanwhile, Ulf has another hilarious meeting with Rhaenyra that goes terribly. He asks for favors for all of his tavern friends, and she almost can't believe the request. She also has to remind him his dragon is too important. He can't risk his life going to taverns. So he is now basically under house arrest in the Red Keep. This just widens the wedge between him and Rhaenyra, and when he tries to tell her about the bastard graffiti, he leaves out key context. Rhaenyra mistakenly thinks it's about her strong voice, and she is visibly shaken. She thought the small folk loved her. This leads her to make another terrible decision, ordering the gold clocks to destroy any graffiti and get rid of anyone making it. This will hurt her standing among the small folk, who will view her more as a tyrant. Daemon returns with a random shepherd head, pretending it belongs to Sheep Stealer's rider. Mysaria instantly clocks it's fake, like that is definitely not the real head. But Rhaenyra is so distracted by the gold that she lets it go in the moment, though she is clearly not letting the Sheep Stealer thing go, and Mysaria seems like she has a Daemon's number. She might learn the truth about Rhaena and tell Rhaenyra eventually. Rhaenyra then meets with Alicent and Helaena, giving Alicent one of Viserys' ring and sending Otto's remains to Old Town. And then Alicent learns Helaena is pregnant with Maelor. They are actually doing Maelor on the show. Alicent is terrified because of what Daemon and the Black might do. Daemon wanted to kill all the 3 green heirs. And here's some context. That big post George R.R. Martin did calling out Ryan Condal about the show had a lot to do with the Maelor missing during Blood and Cheese in season 2. Ryan Condal said it was a problem filming with children. So they are doing the Maelor plot, just in the different way. And then the finale. Ormond Hightower and Daeron. Ormond absolutely hates the dragon. Doesn't want Daeron being affectionate with the Tessarian. How dare you say she is the Blue Queen? Tessarian also seems like she hates Ormond, which is a kind of funny. The feeling is mutual. Ormond has this wild monologue about the Targaryens have a taint in their blood, the Hightowers being the superior men, the Targaryens using blood magic to make what that was theirs with the dragon, and the ending is Ormond gassing up Daeron as the future king he wants to put on the Iron Throne. Even though Daeron goes full Jon Snow, he doesn't want it. It would mean fighting his brothers for their claims. But here's the other big reveal. Ormond, even though he is firmly a green, doesn't like any Targaryens, not the green ones, not the black ones. He then shows a viciousness Alicent warned about when he forces Daeron to kill Hugh Hammer's wife brother using Ormond's Valyrian sword, Vigilance. And the other really big reminder, he's tainted Daeron now by making him do this, in a way Alicent never wanted. She wanted to keep Daeron away from all this fighting, all these crazy plots, but Ormond puts him right at the head of it. Tessarion gets a little snack to end the night. So Ormond hates dragon, noted, but he is not above using them when it's useful. and he's got one posted up right outside his city and another on the way. Two dragon seeds. What is Ormond going to do to mess with their minds over the next couple of episodes?